in the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say, we gon' be okay, we just gotta boom, bada boom, ba. I don't wanna fight, you know that I'm right, baby, let me talk to your body. We gon' be okay, hear me when I say.
Up, bitches. Who's donkey of the day today? Oh, who's this?
Hi, this is Karen. I'm from Ohio.
Oh boy, Karen. Another Karen on the line.
Oh, I'm not one of them guys.
I'm just messing with you, Karen. Go ahead. Who you want to give donkey to?
I want to give my donkey to Kevin Samuels. Can I tell you why?
Woo. Sure, go ahead.
Yes.
I think that he openly degrades black women and he preys on their insecurities that have been given to them in previous relationships and their naiveness. And come on, he gave Saweetie a 6. Dr. Umar spoke on him on all that. He deserves donkey of the day.
Yeah, I think he's lame. I do think he's lame. I mean, what age are we where we're rating women and rating people? I mean, he's a grown-ass man. He's 50 years old. But the thing I don't understand is...
you? That's the thing.
But the thing is, which I don't understand is, why do women keep going to him? Like, that's what I don't understand.
Like I said, he preys on their insecurities that they've been given in previous relationships and their naiveness.
Yeah, because he looks about...
It seems like he hates women. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. I mean, he used to hang around the Hermes store and try to get clientele, you know, just to try to get people. And he used to wear, you know, dress up and stand outside the stores and try to talk to people. I've seen him actually a couple of times. It's funny. But in Atlanta. But I mean, I don't know why women still go to him.
Back up. He used to hang out outside the Hermes store?
Yeah, he used to try to hang outside the stores to try to get businesses. So he would hang outside the Hermes store and look for, you know, I guess people with a little bit of money and try to talk to him and try to be a stylist or whatever he was trying to do. I see him out there once or twice. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's weird.
My salesperson from the Hermes store had to remind me, like, you don't remember him? He was the one that was outside the store. I'm like, that was him. Yeah, but he's lame. I don't respect the fact that he sits there and rates women. Oh, this one's a 2 and this one's a 4, and Ma, you look ugly. Ma, you're fat. Like, it's just it's a woman must have hurt him. I don't know. Maybe it was his mother. Maybe it was his girl, his wife. So a woman definitely.
Or maybe
hurt
he
him.
just doesn't like women.
Or maybe he likes men.
All right. Well, this was Karen's donkey.
All right. Sorry, Karen.
I wanted to take the time to deal with this DJ envy thing concerning Kevin Samuels. And I wanted to look at it from a clinical perspective as it relates to why some people could potentially be projecting. Projection is an ego defense mechanism where a person puts unwanted feelings that are displaced onto another person when they appear as a threat for the external world. And so whether you agree with the antics of the brother that's risen to a meteoric rise in K. Samuels, whether you agree with him or not, whether you think his methods are fair, the fact remains that men, and one of our greatest vices, tends to be the masculine ego. And so there are people that could be attacking this guy, Kevin Samuels, and, you know, I don't agree with 100% with everything that he says. I like the majority of what he says. But it appears that people are projecting because they don't have the power in their relationship. And when they see a man that speaks truth to power and courage and conviction, and he has a mass following, it more or less diminishes their shine. The masculine ego can be a vice or can be a virtue. The masculine ego is a virtue when it knows what its limitations are. But the masculine ego can be a vice when it's used to step on others to more or less accomplish their own agenda. Kevin Samuels is a Generation X guy like myself. I'm Gen X. And he and other guys, professional men and non-professional men in this circle of male empowerment, are actually using the internet as a way to voice their opinion without having to go through all the political trappings. While projection can be seen in women a lot of times, projection a lot of times now, as I see it, as this man is nearing close to 900,000 subscribers, can also be seen as in men. What I learned in life is that when you become the best version of yourself, your focus is not necessarily that of others, but your focus is on the God-given talents that God is more or less investing in you to become an exemplar, not only to yourself, but also an exemplar in the community. And what Mr. Samuels is doing, he's doing what many others have thought about saying and doing, but lack the tenacity or the intestinal fortitude to say so. As I said once before in the past, what I'm learning, we live in a society where men actually are pigeonholed and they're more or less expected to more or less uplift the feminine. And in that uplifting of the feminine, they're actually diminishing themselves in a process of what I call behavior modification. In relationships, all relationships should be mutually pleasing and mutually beneficial. But we live in a society where the feminine is expected to be deified above the masculine. And when other men speak out and call people out on their delusions or their illusions, it's always met with irrational, erratic, and cognitive distortions called fortune telling or broadcasting. And because of that negative cognitive distortion, a lot of times, many people can't get into their psyche to help them see the error of their way. What I've learned as a Gen X guy is that the greatest chance to overcoming negative thoughts and negative behaviors is to look within. But I think one of the conditions that our generation now is experiencing is a lot of denial, projection, and irrational behaviors. And as I said in the past, there are 7 principles that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. One of those 7 core principles is understanding family, but also one of those core principles is understanding female psychology. Now, if you believe in the edicts of the tenets of the Bible, it says, dwell with women in accord to knowledge because they are the weaker vessel. And weaker does not mean inferior, it just means they're more inclined to become emotional. And now, because a lot of our women have become emotional, when great women like Shahrazad Ali, when there are other women like Mrs. Moffat and other women I've heard, when you try to call them out on their cognitive distortions, you either become a hater, you're bashing, or you don't like black women, or your mom is black. And a lot of time in those cognitive distortions, a lot of time it's not more or less cemented in reality. And because of that, many will never grow and become the beautiful women that they can become. Because when you present the evidence to many of them, they become frustrated, angry, and then they fail to look within themselves to see where they are erring in that. Accountability is like a cuss word to a lot of people. And unfortunately, accountability has been a cuss word to a lot of our women, also American women. And because of that, many men are actually rebelling. They're speaking out louder, and they're more or less demanding what they expect in a relationship. You know, I remember a time when I grew up in the 90s. I was a Gen X guy, came out of high school, late 80s, early 90s. And, you know, I remember songs like, you gotta have a J-O-B if you wanna be with me. Also, I remember times when women would say, I don't want no scrub. A scrub can't get no love from me. And also what I'm hearing from a lot of young men, and my heart goes out to a lot of young men, a lot of women are expecting extraneous standards on men, but they're not the icons of the things that they expect themselves. I have no issue with a woman saying what she wants in a man. I have no issue with a woman saying, I want a tall man, he gotta make 6 figures, he gotta have a 6-pack or whatever. I have no issue with that. But just because you want something does not mean that you are worthy of it. And because of that, you have men like DJ Envy that could be projecting envy, and I think he's projecting envy, that often attacks the messenger instead of attacking the message, which is called an ad hominem attack. And because of that, instead of him actually calling himself hurting this man, he's actually giving him validation. One of the things I think we all have to do if we want to become the best versions of ourselves, we have to look in the mirror. We have to ask ourselves the question, where am I wrong at? How can I get better? Because men like DJ Envy, in my opinion, really don't love our women. You see, correction comes with accountability. And when you really love a person, you will tell them the truth. But unfortunately, a lot of our women have not been raised in environments where they are used to the elders critiquing them and telling them where they're wrong. And society has gotten so bad now that they even chide the elders. And if you're chiding elders, how can you get better in your dysfunction? So I wanted to take the time to critique this thing from a clinical perspective. And I want to give my input, as I feel like DJ Envy is actually projecting envy towards this brother. Because this man is actually saying things that a lot of men have always said. And I will say myself, I have no issues with speaking my mind. I never have, and I never will. And many times, because I've spoke my mind, I've gotten myself into trouble. But it's really unfortunate that we live in a society where men are not allowed to speak their truth, or speak the truth. And when men decide to say, you know what, I'm going to divest, then all of a sudden you hate women of color. But the truth is, love comes with accountability. And when men love women, as I said earlier, they will tell them the truth instead of telling them what they want to hear in order to get money or in order to more or less get between their legs. And remember this, if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. I want you to think about what I said in this episode of the Kosher Clinician, and I want you to give me your input on this episode, and also on the things that need to get better in order for us to have a vibrant and more impactful community where men and women are working together and when the men are loving our women. But unfortunately, the cognitive dissonance that I see, I don't think it's going to ever come into fruition unless there be a estimation or a Herculean effort by our women, some of our women, to look within themselves and to make the corrections that can be made so they can become great women for great men. Be well.